Hi, I'm Kawa, and this is QWA Podcast. In this show, we invite friends from the architectural fraternity for a casual conversation. From design think tank to integrated practice, we discuss the trials and tribulations of architectural pursuit. We hope this informal sharing will spark conversation among the listeners. Let's begin.
Okay.
Hello everyone. Today we have Munif Malek of Drawnosaur. I hope I pronounce it correctly. He has worked as a architecture practitioner, education, freelance artist, illustrator, among others. I think there's a lot of creative, versatile work that he does. And I would say he also a critical observer of our daily reality, which can be reflected through his commentary on his personal Facebook post. And of course, he also a gaming enthusiast, and coming from the same Archi school, we kind of cross paths sometimes, during uni creates in other uni, usually in the end of the year or something like that. But to me, I would say he's a manifestation, a real life manifestation of a RPG character. For whom they're not familiar, role-playing game character that is roaming around the architecture realm to scour the adventure. So Munif, what have you been doing lately?
Lately I've been enjoying my temporary retirement from architecture just for a bit. So in the meantime, I'm working on, as mentioned just now, the Drawnosaur, which is my art page / art brand, working on a lot of art projects basically. And I still have some architecture jobs on the side, but the art venture is taking most of my time right now.
So what is Drawnosaur actually? I know it's a combination of two words, obviously draw, and dinosaur, but why these two kind of like merging into one word?
Okay, well, basically, as a child, I was fascinated by dinosaurs. So to show the reflection of my obsession towards dinosaurs translated to drawing. So how I started drawing is because I kept drawing a lot of dinosaurs, just wanting to mimic, wanting to capture the forms and designs of this fantastic creature. So eventually, 30 plus years later, when I'm like starting my own art venture, I decided to go with the name Drawnosaur, combination of two of the things I love the most, which is drawing and dinosaurs. So there you go.
I think people can't deny the fact that you really love dinosaur because of the markings on your minute meeting, what do you call it, discarded drawings and whatnot has
tender drawings, recycled paper and all,
and as any other RPG character, of course you have your own journey that goes up and down. And I think some of these stories is about being an educator, which you have been teaching and lecturing in public and private university. So when it comes to this school, I'm sure there is specific challenges that you have to go, overcome. Can you share some of those moments that you think interesting among these years of your lecturing years?
Okay, there are obviously a lot of interesting moments during teaching.
Right.
When you're preparing the brief, when you're going on trips, when you're getting to know these international students and so on. However, let me tell you, the most the most party story worthy tales definitely come from on the point of submission. Whenever the students use up all their creative juices to come up with all these excuses to extend submission, that's when all the interesting stories come out. Now, I'm just going to list down just a few of them because there's like a galaxy of these creative excuses that I've met. But I have had within the same week two students coming with a cast, a broken arm, a broken elbow, suddenly a broken finger. There's one person who actually forged her mother's death certificate, which we would find out later by calling the father to tell him condolences, which was really awkward.
Right.
We had one student who actually, like, kudos to the family, because this guy, this is the kicker, he came with the whole clan, from the mother to father, grandparents, and the brothers and all, and they were all in unison claiming that he was kidnapped. So
it's a collective family effort.
Yeah. I mean, like, kudos to the family. They stick together. I'll give them that. That's for sure. But yeah. Quick check to the police station for where they actually did a police report. Found out that that wasn't necessarily the case. And to top it off, the date for which he claimed to be kidnapped was actually 10 days after where submission was supposed to be. So
so do you think if these students actually put the effort that they put on this elaborate stories onto their project, do you think they could like save themselves the trouble and just finish the project?
I literally tell them this all the time. I mean, if you just pump in a quarter of the creative juice that you've used up for your excuses into the conceptualization of your design,
right,
we wouldn't have to go through all this in the first place. So yeah, it's fine.
Right. But historically, architecture graduate has always have this optimism and also obviously flexibility to thrive in other creative industry. And it is normal, I would say, nowadays, architecture has broadened up the view to the point where the graduate able to take other creative professions such as filmmaker, photographer, baker, painter, among others. So why do you think such transition is so seamless for architecture graduates, being one yourself, I mean, at this moment of time?
This answer or opinion of mine will come with a huge stench of irony, basically. To my opinion, I mean, like, not just architecture schools that I've gone to, but generally all architecture schools, they kind of don't really prepare us to be architects per se, but they prepare us to be designers instead, right? So the irony of that is that although they don't prepare you to be architects, but by preparing you to be a designer, understanding the 101s of concept and design and aesthetics and visuals and forms and figures and so on, that's why it makes us applicable in a lexicon of other industries where design is the base form. I mean, like, as you mentioned, if you're doing bakery, if you're doing graffiti, if you're doing art like me, if you're doing fashion design, all of this has conceptualizations and designs and breaking downs and creating new forms and so on, to make those products work. So why I think architects can seamlessly transition between all these other seemingly random fields is because the one thing that ties them is conceptualization, which is what we've learned. Every one of us learned from the first year. So
yeah,
it becomes natural. It's just like matter of application and different materials, different things, but the gist of it, the soul of it, it's still designing. So
it's really true. In fact, I just realized that actually architecture school doesn't really train you to become an architect. And basically, I mean, of course you will thrive because definitely it is a bit more creatively inclined and less, not saying not at all, but less technical or less, contractual or professional kind of like environment. So it's a bit more, more freedom, I would say. But you yourself has collectively worked or practiced more than 7 years, more or less. And I think more than 3 offices, I would say. Satu tu yang dekat One City tu kan, which
Yeah.
safe to assume you have like a good grasp of what architect do. I mean, from a body corporate, from I think you have worked in sole proprietorship as well, right? And then
in like chartered architect,
and then
design
multidisciplinary
studios.
practice, tu macam dah dekat sangat tu kan. But most of the time, but most of the time, I think architecture in public mind are fabricated or manifested from the Maghreb drama, which again might not be accurate. But do you think people love the unrealistic depiction to the point where, you know, it helped to give a positive connotation to the profession instead of those elaborate technical jargon heavy interview or, you know, outlook of an architect?
Well, the funny thing is that it's a positive connotation or impression of what an architect does. However, it's negative in the sense that it's not really completely true, you know, because what we think, you know, like as a layman looking at all this like 7 p.m. dramas with like architects as a leading hero, two things that are the most misleading is money and time. Number one is money. The common architect don't make that much, and when they actually do, it's through sacrificing the soul. So the second thing is time. You know, there was actually a scene where I saw the hero architect going back home. He was driving in his car. The sky was freaking blue, and I'm like rolling my eyes all the way to the back. And these guys, they have the time to, you know, look for love and like find their true fathers and like go and fight with their nemesis somewhere. You know, once one tender project drops, one project reaches tender stage, everything, there's gonna be no time for all that. You're gonna be at the office 2 a.m. on a Sunday. So you know, it does give a seemingly good impression, but it's negative in the sense that it doesn't really reflect the truth, which could lead to misunderstandings basically about the industry.
Is it possible because of the public hope architect such and such, hence the drama producer kind of like deliver that flavor of an architect outlook? The architect will be driving a continental car. The architect will be addressed by an army of staffs talking about projects in the range of billions. Is that because they hope that, I mean, the public like really hoping and projecting their hope towards us to be like that, to be a bit more like that?
Yeah. No, I think in defense of this like film directors, but the things they're based on is not completely baseless. I mean, if you look at the star architects, for example, or even like the top dog architects in the country, you see them and like they're kind of living like rock stars, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But well, I guess it's a matter of proportion, because 98% of the industry is not like that.
Right.
You know, so you got to be like the absolute ace in your ecosystem to actually live that
lifestyle, like a
rock
top dog
star lifestyle, with the flair, so to speak. So there exist people like that, but the sacrifice they made to get there and the amount of architects like that is just, you know, it makes a representation on TV ultimately misleading then. So yeah.
Yeah, but because of that misrepresentation, more or less, there's a larger range of people that are actually interested to take up architecture as their, life goal or life purpose.
Yeah.
To the point where you can see, I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying that there's a lot of private schools that actually offer architecture. So do you think that particular incident of positive build-up of image actually contributed to enormous interest of students to take architecture in their tertiary education?
Yeah, well, the thing is where students are concerned, usually it's the if they don't have the passion to begin with, it's because most likely it's from the advancement of parents and family and the expectations, right? So because of this misconception, like I said, there's two mainly, which is time and money. But where students are concerned, it's mostly about money. So, I get invited to external reviews for some universities, and we open a Q&A to the students. And the lecturer will be like, this guy has been working in the industry for quite a while. You guys have any questions to him, just shoot. And in every university that I go, they'll be asking me, actually, how much do you make, with this little giddy attitude, and their eyes just lit up and everything, looking all hopeful and stuff. And I'm like, if I answer that, it might crush you. So, I mean, passion is number one if you want to have a sustained, career in what we do. But like lemmings falling down the cliff, there's just so many who actually enter this thinking that we're like any other professional. Like, I have a pilot friend who he graduated pilot school, and he was just an assistant pilot to this light aircraft, the kinds where people take to Jurassic Park and all that. The small planes. It's not even the main pilot for that. It's already
like making like
8,000 ringgit. Yeah. So 8,000 ringgit just for like doing that. So they think that once you graduate from architecture, because hey, we are fellow professionals, and so this is the amount, like the equivalent amount that we're gonna get to. It's not the case. As an architect, the point of where you actually start to cash in, so to speak, is after I don't know like how many years of service, and not to mention the networking you have to do and all that. So I think it's good that there are a lot of students who want to participate in what we do because of media, but at the same time, it's also not good when like 40-50% of them become disheartened and they wither away, and they're not really sure of what to do with their careers. So it's a double-edged sword, I guess. Yeah, you get the traffic, but the traffic gets disheartened, half of them. So
but but we tend to celebrate all this damning what do you call it, misconception, like you become an architect. As an architect, you start at 40, or architect is one of the hardest degree. We were like, oh yes, it is one of the hardest. We kind of like that kind of mentality. But of course, out of beside that doom and gloom, routine, mundaneness of our routine, there is some moment of gems, right? And I'm sure we as an architect should celebrate a little bit more on that positive incident, rather than architecture start at 40 and all this negative connotation. So what have you experienced throughout your almost a decade long career as of now? Do you have any such moment that you think, this is why I do architecture, this is why it's worth it? Is there that kind of moment I have arrived, or you're still looking for it?
There was one time where here's the thing. As an architect, as an artist, I have a very different set of dreams. But as an architect, I've always dreamed of, someday maybe designing my own zoo or something, which is the closest I can get to a Jurassic Park. So there you go. Right. It's no mystery why I want that. So that moment hasn't come yet. But there was an instance where I was working with this firm at Solaris. So we were actually involved with the developers who was tasked with injecting some life back into Komtal. Right. If you can see at the podium level where you have all those like dinosaur-based theme parks and all that, right? So I was kind of involved with that. So at that moment, I was like, what? I'm going to be involved with
dinosaurs?
Like dinosaurs and theme parks and everything. And in right smack in my hometown of Penang, get out of here, So that was a moment that I'll remember for quite some time. But ultimately, yes, I would like to make my own Jurassic Park. So
yeah. So I mean, of course, as you mentioned, Komta, Penang, is your hometown, and as a son of your, of these northern states, what do you think about the current development surge in Penang? Because obviously, Penang has been, actively adding their landmass, not only in the peripheral, but also from on the north, the Gurney area and whatnot. And now we are talking about the southern islands. So what do you think about all this expansion of landmass?
Yeah, well, again, like as as a true Penangite, I love my home. I really do. And having said that, I'm also not anti-development. Whenever I go back to Penang and I see there's a glitzy new development going on, they did this, the urban fabric, and that, I get really excited and like what they're doing with the Hinbus depot and all that, so just like urban rejuvenation stuff. I love all that. So I don't take myself as someone who's anti-development, so to speak. But if we're talking about like the triple whammy of islands that's going to be proposed on the south of Penang, I mean, I don't know, man. You got to take this with a huge pinch of salt, because you look at the intentions of the project in the first place. To me, that's number one. Like in Islam, you say niat lah. Anything you start with the niat first, right? It's no secret that the Penang state government, they have the Plan Induk Pengangkutan Pulau Pinang, right? This, which includes a Pan Island link highways and all that they're going to be developing, projected to be 64 billion ringgit development. The triple islands here is supposed to capture investors and create more job opportunities and generate income to actually fund the Plan Induk Pengangkutan Pulau Pinang.
Right.
Ergo, it's actually, to my opinion, it is a project that is designed to reap profits, to churn out money. So when I'm looking at the proposals and you're talking about the locals, you're talking about the environments, and the locals which has to be said are not even involved in the, discussion or in the development of this project, I feel like there's a big skepticism out there, and we're just talking about the social and economic aspect of it. Right. You look at it from an environmental issue. I don't see how adding 3 islands at what is already a coastal area will somehow not impact the environment and the access and waterways of the fishermen towards their source. So, and besides, they also say that the totality of the 3 islands will house around like 400,000 residences. It's a project that's meant to generate income for the state. You're telling me all those 400,000 people are just going to be low income, mid income commoners? It's not going to be. It's going to be like mainly high income people who's going to be staying there, a project at the expense of the mid and low income. So I don't know where the economic inclusivity and balance is coming from all this. I just don't see it. The figures, it doesn't make sense. And and since we're talking about figures, the Penang state roughly makes around 1 billion ringgit a year, and to fund this 46 billion pengangkutan development, we are spending another 16 billion on the triple islands to fund that 46 billion when we only make 1 billion annually. So it looks like a mess to me.
Have you visited the Forest City in JB?
Yeah, I have, because like some of my when I was working with that developer, actually we had a lot of projects in Tebrau and Nusa Jaya, and I have passed that place a few times. So,
but you can see parallels of how for the lack of a better term, how slow it is to actually build up land and then make it feasible to be sold. And when I went there, the package of how you should buy a land is quite difficult, because you need to pay cash until the land is there. Then only bank can give you mortgage to buy things on top of that newly created land. So, I mean, of course, it's ridiculously difficult, and also I don't know, as you mentioned lah, only meant for the T20 lah, the top 20 of our country. Definitely, because there's a lot of cash gonna be involved in the property transaction.
Exactly. So it's like fishermen, coastal guys, local entrepreneurs, bye at the expense of the T20, and you're like preaching economic inclusivity. So I just don't see it.
And there's no promise that the thing gonna be built. I mean, if they start halfway, but the damage is done, the fish has gone, everything has that. I mean, they can just like start something like even 10%. It's already gone ecologically. So,
exactly.
Yeah. So there's no promise they will get the whole sum. The way that they paint it as if like the Buat they will get like a whole chunk of gold of 46
exactly. The thing is, with other projects, you say it actually looks nice on paper, but whether it will work or not is a different thing. But for this project, it doesn't even look feasible on paper. So what's going on with that? And the funny thing is that we have a case study of how the livelihood of fishermen and all will not be taken care of, because as you mentioned just now, with the tambakan at the north, it's already affecting like the ecosystem and the waterways of the fishermen there. So nothing's being done. All I know is that the Gani Drive, where I always frequent as a kid, suddenly you don't have the coast there anymore, and we have a case study, and that is nothing compared to what the Triple Islands will bring on the south. That's just a small preview of what's to come.
Yeah, another case is in Malacca. Do you realize that after the Hatton Hotel, it's like a barren reclaimed land? Not nothing can be built, but it's so expensive to buy a land there, or doesn't make sense, or why not? It's been the reclaimed land has been built with all these pseudo European shop lots and all this corny stuff, because they can't make it work. I guess I think. So there's no promise the master plan will come out like as such as conceptually designed, right? Okay.
It is, and the sad thing is it's such a Malaysian thing to have planning without plans. Well, basically, I think if I may say so, an opinion of mine is that the root of all problematic developments in the country, it boils down to how Malaysians define value. If you see like in Japan, they're like taking away highways to replace it with parks instead, because they value like social interactions, they value happiness, they value like the environment, they value like comfort and history and culture. But wherever like a national or state level project in Malaysia is concerned, if it's not mentioned in dollars and cents, it has no value. The definition of value,
right?
I think that's the root of it's just my opinion on this.
But talking about value, I think there's a recent surge of interest towards our COVID-19 heroes. I mean, the Agongs, the KP Kesihatan, and why not? And they has been honored with numerous street art and wall mural. But I would say there's an incident which they had their portraits or mural has been vandalized, which I believe in your particular neighborhood where you actually stay. Is it correct? It was what I present the brick finish thingy on some of the buildings. So what do you think about the incident? Is it like political, or is it like just pure, or they are drunk maybe? Who's on?
The thing is, let me just like say it flat out right now. Like to begin with, like it sucks what happened, because as a fellow artist and actually like knowing some of the guys involved with some of this street art and all, I mean, it sucks. They're like talented guys who put in a lot of work to make this like street art happen. But at the same time, the bombing of street arts, or the counter bombing of street arts, as I know, is actually like a common way of social commentary or protest or communication
Right.
throughout the world, which is understandable. But the way it was done is just basically very crude. Then, like no finesse at all. So that's very unfortunate. So ultimately, whatever message you might be trying to put out there, it just gets swallowed up by the crudeness of it, you know. So in the end, it just becomes like stupid, mindless vandalism. That's what I think.
Interesting. Yeah, it's a sort of like you yourself has projected, to be of a different class, not able to, somehow even commenting on the same, level or tiers that the original mural is. Yeah. So talking about the illustration of Pokemon-inspired evolution graphic that sometimes has been translated into T-shirt graphic or T-shirt illustration. I know that they are custom made. How do they get those kind of illustration or service from you, and what are you working on, next? I saw you just sold a Happy Young Chap dinosaur board game. Is it like gonna be something along that line, more board games or more, I saw there's a Happy Family as well, celebrating birthday, if I'm not mistaken, right?
The father's birthday.
What are some of the new artwork that you have in the pipeline?
So basically how it goes is like this. Commission arts like the birthday one, frame artworks, and also customizable personalized tees. Those are my bread and butter, so that's not gonna go away. That will be a constant. In fact, I will I think like sometime next month I will start selling them, at least the tees on Shopee. Right. I'm also going to open a Fiverr account for an international audience can get some of my commission artworks. But apart from that, what's next is I am venturing into more detailed, affordable, portable concepts of board games. So I have been approached by some members of the board gaming enthusiasts in Malaysia. They've seen some of my stuff, and right now we are drafting prototypes for more. Because as you know, board games these days are hella expensive. You go to any like bookstore, whatever that sells like board games, they're like in the 3, 4, 500s of ringgit.
Correct.
So what we're attempting to do is a fun and cool board game for the people. So if there's a big thing that I'm working on next is that. But as I said, yes, the commission artworks, the frame artworks, and the tees, those are constant. They're my bread and butter. So that is not seasonal. It's always there throughout the year. And how to contact me is, of course, to my art page, Drawnosaur. So just approach me there. Send
DM
me a message.
In your Instagram lah.
Yeah. It's I sell stuff basically through the Instagram. So just contact me there. Tell me if you're interested in the inventory of artworks available, or if you want to commission a completely new one, so we can work something out.
Great. I think that is all the time that we have today, this week. Thank you so much, Munif. You can follow Drawnosaur or Munif Malek on Instagram. Please subscribe to QWA YouTube channel. And thank you for joining us. Until the next one. Take care. Bye.
All right. You too. Bye.
If you enjoyed the session, be sure to subscribe to QWA YouTube channel so you will be notified if a new episode is posted. Thank you for listening. Until next time.